You asked for it. Here it is. It's a podcast from Apathetic Enthusiasm.
Coming to you live from post-Comic-Con, where we went to Comic-Con, and then we got some small little friends of ours, and then we watched the season finale of Rick and Morty. And we're bringing that to you here on Interdimensional RSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is Travis.
Hello, everyone. I am Brandon, and Brandon, original sound for musicians off cruise.
That's right. The classic nickname that you always go by.
Weird. It's weird how they gave me that nickname well before anybody knew what original sound for musicians actually was. They're just prescient. All of my friends are prescient.
Yeah, they're smart. That's fine. Welcome, everybody, to the show. Welcome to the season finale episode of Interdimensional RSS for the 8th season of Rick and Morty. Unbelievable that we're already here. I feel like we've released 3 other podcasts this week, so hopefully you're not sick of hearing from us. But this is a big one. This is the finale episode of Interdimensional RSS. So thank you that you're here. If you are just joining us for some reason, nice to have you. You can follow us online. I think we're on X at Rick and Morty Pod. You can find our Instagram, Rick and Morty Podcast. 4 out of 5 voice actors for the show agree it's a great follow. So follow us on Instagram, facebook.com/Rick and Morty Podcast. You can send us emails, rickandmortypodcast@gmail.com. We're on Blue Sky, Rick and Morty Pod.bsky.social. Supporting the subreddits out there. Go to the official Rick and Morty subreddit, rickandmorty.reddit.com, or you can go to ours, rickandmortypodcast.reddit.com, and you can find our episodes there. Finally, if you want video versions of the podcast, as well as some other sorted video content, you can go to youtube.com/Apathetic Enthusiasm. Apathetic Enthusiasm is our brand. You hear it at the beginning. You asked for it. Here it is. It's a podcast from Apathetic.
You asked for it. Here it is. It's a podcast from Apathetic Enthusiasm.
That's right. Thank you, Size Mode, for recording that so many moons ago. But yeah, so like Interdimensional RSS, we're not done with this show, but the show is like Rick and Morty's done. We're gonna do a postseason recap. We're gonna do other things talking about Rick and Morty. There might be a new show we're talking about. We'll get into that in semi-pertinent news. But if you enjoy this content, if you enjoy hearing me and Brandon talk about Rick and Morty, and you want to hear us talk about other things that are not Rick and Morty, definitely follow us. You can find Apathetic Enthusiasm. That is our other main podcast that we do. Brandon does a podcast with his wife Chelsea, Our Real Relationships. So there's all sorts of ways that you can follow us in the off season. And if you want to support us, you can go to patreon.com/Apathetic Enthusiasm. Great way to support all of our podcast endeavors. There you go. It is Thursday. It is not Monday.
That was really good, man. That was you did a fantastic job on that. I commend you.
I've been practicing all week.
Yeah.
How the heck are you? How are you feeling? Because like, it's recovery week, and
it is,
and it's been an onslaught.
It's been a hell of a recovery week for us here. Because I immediately got back from San Diego and spent a couple hours with family, then woke up and got on a plane the very next morning, and then I was there for a day, and then I flew back the next day. And so really I haven't had a whole lot of recovery.
Yeah.
Which is also why this episode of talking about our thoughts on episode 10 are a little bit delayed. But I'm really excited to get into it and talk about it because it's actually given me a little bit more time to think, to process,
to appreciate the season and the episode that was episode 10. But before we discuss that specifically, let's kind of recap what last week looked like in a segment we call Semi-Pertinent News.
Going down to San Diego, it's semi-pertinent news all over the place.
All right. So, I mean, we talked about it before this podcast. We talked about it on podcast, and now we're going to talk about it now for you in this episode. Sort of just boiling down everything that was Rick and Morty at San Diego Comic-Con. A couple of major events stand out. First and foremost, the San Diego Comic-Con panel. This took place on Friday out there at San Diego. They Adult Swim likes to kind of have like a block of some of their biggest shows back to back in the Hilton Bayfront like ballroom. And so we went to Ha You Clowns, and after Rick and Morty was Smiling Friends, but smack dab in the middle was the Rick and Morty panel. And I mean, I thought it was fantastic. We had a lot of it was like all of the people really that you wanted to see like in the panel. You had like co-creator Dan Harmon, Scott Martyr, executive producer, voice cast galore, Ian Cardoni, Harry Belden, Sarah Chalk, Chris Parnell, Spencer Grammer, like everybody was there to talk about the show. I think they said it was the first time they'd all been on stage together, especially at a Comic-Con, I think like ever, because Harry and Ian haven't been on stage at San Diego Comic-Con for a panel, and I think them all being together might have been like New York or something, but kind of a momentous event to get everybody there, including Dan.
Yeah. And the first Comic-Con we went to, first San Diego Comic-Con we went to, it was writer strike. no one was around. We didn't know who the new voice actors were going to be, and I think that was the one where Steve Levy got up there and basically ran the panel. And Jacob Hare, I think, was there as well. So yeah, like then last year was Takashi Sano with Rick and Morty the anime, and then we're like, oh, okay, cool. Now this is like our first chance to see all of them too.
It's true,
at the same time. And honestly, it's the first time we've seen all of them ever. I think maybe the closest I saw was maybe like a Harmontown or one of like the Rick and Morty's like after show thing they had.
Way back when at one of the very first Adult Swim fests, they did I think that's where Ryan Elder did the live score of an episode, and there were a lot of like Rick and Morty people there. We saw Royland from afar. We saw like people from the show out at the event, which was in LA, I believe. So it was a little bit easier for people to get there, but yeah, they weren't like doing a panel or anything like that. It wasn't a live read like we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was really fun. Fans were really excited to see everybody there. The conversation was good. I think the moderator did a good job of exploring different ideas and concepts from the show and asking some pretty good questions. It still cracks me up anytime there's a question about continuity or, you know, sort of like the overarching stories. And Dan's always like, I don't really care about that. Like, I just want to make good, like, little encapsulated stories. And then Scott Martyr steps up. He's like, I really thought about it a lot. Like, we're thinking about it. Don't worry. Please keep watching our show. Like, but yeah, and so it was great. I'm sure it was fun for those guys, but very fun for the audience. Did you have any moments that stood out for you from the panel?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it in our immediate reactions for Comic-Con. It's good seeing Dan. I always enjoy watching Dan speak.
Yeah.
With his little glass of vodka. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, I miss Harmontown. But like having all of them up there, it's so cool. And then they had a special treat for us because when you have a show that goes on as long as Rick and Morty has, what do? Spin-off.
Yeah, you make a spin-off. Huge spin-off announcement. The fact that we are getting a President Carter show. Is it Carter? Is that right? Yeah.
Curtis.
President Curtis. Thank you. President Carter is an actual president. Yeah. I can't.
That's why I was like, maybe they are.
It's President Curtis. Yeah. So reoccurring character from Rick and Morty, the president, President Curtis, voiced by the amazing Keith David. who was then brought out onto stage after the announcement. They're doing a spin-off of Rick and Morty, the first official Rick and Morty spin-off that exists in the same, like, it's not the same universe, I guess. It's the same. It is a dimension in which Rick exists, I guess. But yeah, it's the president from the show. They were pretty clear that it's not going to be like dimension hopping, crazy sci-fi adventures the way that Rick and Morty is. I thought Dan did a good job of saying, like, it's more X-Files than Doctor Who. So he's the president of the United States. He exists in the same world, but there's still going to be weird things that happen, and him with his cabinet members are going to go out and have to figure out different, I don't know, mysteries or something like that. We'll see when it actually comes out.
Whereas Rick and Morty, Smiling Friends, they are kind of these weird kind of shows. This seems to, without having seen any trailer or anything,
we have seen one still promotional shot that you should have all seen if you follow any socials.
Yeah, well, I think we saw an animatic too, didn't we?
Did we? I don't recall that.
I thought there was an animatic that we saw, because it was like talking about like killing Paul Bunyan, right?
Oh, okay, yeah. Maybe it was just like a quick press conference thing or something.
Yes,
like that.
Yeah. And so it seems a little bit more like traditional adult animation ish, based.
Yeah.
I mean, based off of what little we've seen of it, which means we don't know what it's actually going to be like. But I am interested to see it. And somebody hit us up on a Messenger, like, huh? New podcast, huh?
We'll see if that becomes a spin-off podcast, if it becomes part of this podcast. I don't know. Let us know what you want to see.
Interdimensional IRSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty spin-off podcast, President Curtis, episode 1, season 1.
Yeah, it'll be a long title with lots of subtitles. So I don't know. That's interesting. I thought some of the descriptions of some of the characters for the new show sound interesting. So yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see how it'll be.
Yep.
We are friendly with some of the folks that work on Rick and Morty, whether through social media or whatever, and getting to hear that some of those folks are getting to go and work on the new show as well is encouraging to me, because I feel like bringing some of that talent that's worked on Rick and Morty into this new project is going to help probably promote that same look and feel that the original show has, but with this new different type of story and different characters. So I don't know, excited to see what they cook up.
Agreed. Now we did see them at the panel, all the voice actors doing their thing. And what do you know? They had a live table read that the next night. Well, it was that night.
Same night, yeah.
With all the same panel members, and they were doing a live table read of the Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
That's right. They couldn't have picked an easier titled show or episode to talk about. They did add one additional special guest. Producer James Siciliano was also on stage because they needed some additional voices. If you think about that Curious Case of Benjamin Button, you have two Beths, right? We have regular Beth, Space Beth. That's asking a lot of Sarah Chalk to do both characters. So of course, the obvious choice was Dan Harmon as Space Beth, as the other Beth, which was entertaining to say the least. Watching Dan do Beth lines all night long. They also that's the episode where they go to Earth World, and so there are some other characters there, including what is it, Doctor? What was the doctor's name? Doctor something.
Yeah,
Doctor Poop Farts or something. And then obviously the like jellyfish looking girl that Morty hooks up with.
course, you got Gene.
Gene is very important in this episode. So, like, James Siciliano did a lot of Gene lines. Spencer Grammer was working double duty both as Summer and as that jellyfish girl, as well as just other random lines that they had farmed out to the rest of the cast. But and then with Scott Martyr, who was doing all of the stage direction, setting the scene, kind of explaining the action. And honestly, like, as far as like live theater for Rick and Morty, like, it was a blast. It was a ton of fun to watch. The cast was really into it. They were laughing at each other's lines. They were enjoying it, but also just like completely crushing the performance and not like missing line. Like, there were obviously like occasional like flubs, or I think one time like Spencer read one of Harry's lines or something when they were going back and forth, and which is just funny, right? Like, that just is funny that that's happening live and adds authenticity to it. But it was really fun to just watch them do that, even without acting it. Okay, if you've seen the episode or watched it numerous times, you already kind of have the visuals in your head. So then to see them working through it, for me, it was one of my highlights of the entire weekend.
Agreed. I totally agree. It followed up with that with the Smiling Friends live table read, which was also fun. But this is a Rick and Morty podcast. We don't need to talk about Smiling Friends.
Yeah, it was fun in different ways. They bring a different energy for sure. Yeah,
they do. I mean, a little more chaotic. But yeah, no, it was so fun, and we talked about it in our post finale kind of preview. It's just so great being there, being part of the fandom, watching it with all of the different fans. And we're gonna get into the next part, which is the next night. Saturday night was the night of new. It covered a bunch of they showed the episode of Ha Ha You Clowns, which we watched in the panel. Smiling
guys.
the Smiling Friends that we watched in the panel, a couple other shows, and then they showed the season finale of Rick and Morty there, which we want to talk about here in a second, because I think that it's really special. But before we do that, Travis, let's talk about the Dan Harmon social media minute.
Dan Harmon is not what I'm talking about. Okay, Dan Harmon social media minute. I just want to peel back the curtain a little bit on our social media, because just like the Infinity Gauntlet, having Infinity Stones that, once you bring them all together, right? Like, your power is limitless. We got another we got a time stone today. Big shout out to Sarah Chalk for following us on Instagram officially as of today. Which is weird because we both thought she already followed the account. But yeah. I think that might have been when we had like the other account, and then there was the whole mix-up with our first Comic-Con and the Instagram deleting our account or something like that.
So I think it was the other account. Yeah, I'm gonna look right now, but let's see. Well, you keep talking.
Yeah. So Harry and Ian, great guys. They have been supporters of our account pretty much since they got the job. Chris Parnell, which is still unbelievable to me that he follows our account. More unbelievable that a video that I took with my phone of a panel and then shared to our stories was reposted on his stories. Like, that's just that guy's in Lazy Sunday, you guys. I mean, like, it's mind-boggling. Anyway, so anyway, Spencer Grammer. Like, what up? What's going on?
We can completely eradicate half of all life
we could, with a snap of our fingers, if we could get the one remaining Smith family member in on the Instagram. So that's it. That's the social media minute, and that's pretty much it for semi-pertinent news, unless there's anything else you wanted to talk about.
No, I think maybe I was just going to say that Harmon must be Galactus.
Yeah, I don't know. That's still like another 2 seasons. We got to get
Okay.
past season 10 before we start worrying about Dan.
You got to get
and
to
the
phase 5 of the interdimensional RSS story.
We'll work on that. All right, that's it
All
for
right.
semi-pertinent news. A lot of that stuff we've talked about before, a little bit more in depth on other episodes. But if you missed those, make sure you're following, subscribed on all of our channels and things like that. But yeah, so that's it for semi-pertinent news. When we come back, we will be breaking down a incredible episode. We'll be talking about the season finale. When we come back, stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, everybody, we are back. Thank you so much for sticking around. It's finale time, so let's talk about it in the main thing.
Main thing, memories of main thing, Mr. Boss, Mr. Boss. Can we peel back the curtain just a little bit over on this? We got some Smiling Friends vinyls and
little vinyl figures, right? They were giving them away at the Adult Swim Pirate Purdy all weekend long.
And the night of the finale, I got a Mr. Boss, and I was like, you can have this, Travis, because he didn't have it, and like he really wanted it, and so he opened the box, has Mr. Boss, and he's smiling in the way Mr. Boss does. Travis opens it up, he pulls it out, and Mr. Boss isn't smiling at all. He looks really creepy, and he's like, I want to put, before he took it out, he's like, I want to put this on my desk at work. And and as soon as he brought it out, like, Travis, it looks like you with a toupee on.
That's terrible.
and then when I got home, I told
my
Dex,
nose doesn't hook down that much. All right.
Then he laughed too. But anyways,
it's good. It's good.
Anyways, let's not talk about that, Travis.
Yeah, let's talk about Hot Rick.
Hot Rick. Yes, that's right. Season 8, episode 10. Air date 7/27/2025. Written by Albert Lundy and James Siciliano. Directed by Brian Kaufman. It guest stars John Rhys Davies and Tom Davis.
That's right.
Our synopsis, Travis. Bruh. Well, it's not ours. Bruh. Sometimes we try weird stuff to let go of the past, bruh.
That's right.
Our synopsis.
Rick is more emotionally open, but at what cost? So yeah, it's that's the show. Thanks for listening. It's this episode again. We watched it for the first time out on the lawn behind the San Diego Convention Center for Adult Swim's Night of New. We talked about how crazy this week was going to be. We talked about Brandon having to fly across the country and back. And so in my head, there was like a thought that like, okay, maybe I can just like really lock in while we're watching this episode, jot down some notes, and then we can like record this while we're both in San Diego together. Don't have to worry about doing it later, blah, blah, blah. And less than 5 minutes into this episode, I was like, put my phone away. Just watch what's happening. And I'm glad I did, because this ended up being really a standout episode for me in a lot of ways. Some of the turns in it, some of the things that like I wasn't expecting to happen, the emotion, like the character progression in this episode. This to me, I appreciate this episode more and more each time I watch it, and the longer I think about it. So, yeah, I don't know. What were your initial thoughts going into this episode, and then once you watch it for the first time?
Yeah. Before I get into that, just real quick, the title is Hot Rick.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's a reference to.
I have no idea.
Hot Rod, Hot Fuzz, and I think I tried asking Phil Mark, like, do you know what? But they all use production titles, and so they don't actually always see what the title reference is at the start. So
I definitely think it's based on the Andy Samberg film by from the early 2000s, Hot Rod, because it's just such a parallel. It's so much the same.
Yeah,
I genuinely can't think of like
he's trying to get his dad to fight him. Babe.
Yeah, I gotta raise money for your conveniently priced heart surgery. By the way, Chris Parnell in that movie as well. So
That's right. That's
shout
right.
out.
That's right. But
yeah.
as far as the episode itself, we talked about going to the panel in some of the questions that got asked at the Rick and Morty panel, and the moderator asked Sarah Chalk, as far as episodes, what's your favorite episode of the season? And not sure if I think we saw a sneak preview of an extended cold open for the episode beforehand.
Yeah, because they sent us a cold open for you to post on the subreddit, but then the one that we saw in the panel was the full cold open that ended up actually being part of the episode.
Yeah. Memory Rick. And so Sarah Chalk had said, actually, my favorite episode, I thought it was going to be the Curix's case, but it ended up being, she's like, the finale episode is my favorite. Like she just talked very, very highly of it. And so seeing the Memory Rick stuff, her saying that, this is her favorite episode of the season, I was interested to see about why that is.
Yeah.
We pretty rapidly find out why that is. She gets to play a lot of depth that she may not be used to be playing in reality.
There's a lot of Beths in this episode of all shapes and sizes. Like there's a lot of Beths through the ages, so to speak.
Yeah.
But
quite literally, Travis.
Like thinking about
quite literally.
I mean, Sarah Chalk's always, like, in interviews, really gravitated towards some of the more emotionally developed episodes, I think. And when you watch this episode through, it makes perfect sense to me why she said it was her favorite. I'm willing to guess a lot of people liked this episode for that reason. It's not full of jokes and zany, like, crazy comedy throughout, though there are some great bits in the episode. But like when we look at the themes of this episode, the thing that really stands out to me is just this idea of letting go of your past, opening yourself up to new experiences, being ready to face what scares you, and not like letting that past hold you back. And like that's heavy stuff for a cartoon that airs on cable at like 11:30 at night, where the main character burps through half of his lines. Like there's just like heavy concepts that
right after another Family Guy episode,
that's
there's random interstitials. Yeah, I mean we when we walked back from the green, that Saturday night, we got onto the shuttle. We weren't talking. We were kind of like still thinking as we're on the shuttle back to the hotel. And then we got to the hotel, got some room brews going on.
That's right.
And then we started talking about the episode a little bit more. And it was readily apparent to me that there was a conversation there that like there was a conversation that went deeper than like we got into like personal stuff that was going on, like with different people that we know in our personal lives. And it was interesting that is where the conversation went from after watching this Rick and Morty episode. And certainly those things have happened before, but this, maybe it's because of where we were in the hotel with them room brews and whiskey. But it was we were
also filling time because we were trying to be spoiler free because we were going to release the podcast before the actual episode came out.
Yeah, but I'm not even saying when we were doing our episode. I'm saying even like just you and me off mic.
Yeah, when we were just hanging out and feeling loose and I mean, we get to hang out like that maybe like once a year if we're lucky. Like so, twice if one of us gets a nice promotion. But like, yeah. So obviously, like there was some good energy in the room and just
Yeah.
able to have good conversations. But
And
yeah,
like and like
it was a heavy episode that like we were more emotionally open. We forgot who our wives were, and
with like and part of that conversation somehow my interactions with the bartender when I was trying to get ice downstairs rolled into our conversations about it because I tried to get some ice and then he was talking to the waitress. I was like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you." He's like, "No, we were just talking about our GM died. GM's wife died a couple weeks ago, and he was looking at her straight in the eyes when he was helping her to the toilet, and she died looking at him straight in the eyes. How traumatizing is that?" I was like, "Very. Can I have this ice now?"
can
Uh,
I have the ice, please?
but it was talking about it leaned into this episode because we're talking about memories and like how death can be traumatizing and how we would love to get rid of some memories, but also you don't want to get rid of memories because they also kind of keep you who you are, and but they may hold you back in the future. Like I don't know how I would be if somebody died in front of me like
Yeah,
that.
no, that totally makes sense, and I think the structure of this episode does a good job of kind of setting the stage for what Rick is going through at this point in the show. You kind of have that opening with him and Bug Ann, and they're in bed together, and she starts to kind of open that door a little bit to be like, hey, I know this is just sex, but like, what if you came to this thing with my family? And Rick's really like closed off and oh, it's just gonna get messed up and we're gonna ruin things. Are you putting on sex clothes? Is this or not? But like very much kind of a glimpse into where Rick is in terms of seeking relationships. Like he's not looking for that. And she knows that he's hung up on his wife from 40 years ago. Like she says that in the show, right? And so it's this episode is a journey for Rick in dealing with that, moving on and finding some sort of progression. But at the same time, like it's very much about Beth and how her life has been impacted by having a Rick that went away, that wasn't present through her life. Um, because this Omega device, and I thought this was really interesting, it erased all versions of Diane throughout the multiverse, and it erased memories of Diane. So when he says in the opening of the show that like Beth only thinks she remembers her mom, but like she doesn't really remember her, that to me is something I had never really thought about.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've had conversations in the past about Beth knowing more about Diane or things because she would have been raised by her, but the fact that that isn't something that Beth has either was kind of a big deal in my head.
Yeah, and in one of the scenes, while they're in Beth's head in one of her memories, Diane's coming to pick her up from school or wherever, and she's in the memory of Diane is in the car, but it's all blurry.
Yeah,
She
it's
doesn't.
like a green blur. Like
Yeah,
yeah, it's weird.
it's so it's kind of missing, um, and so yeah, and we know. I think that's one of the things that we kind of talk about as thematically, right? Is memories are misleading. Memories can be wrong. We know that from like police sketch artists, right? Or people identifying them in police lineups. That our memories are not necessarily the most accurate thing. We remember what we want to remember. We remember the good things. We remember the bad things we want to remember, and then we make those reality. And that's what we see with Memory Rick and Memory Diane. Those are things that people remember, of themselves stuff. And Rick says to the end to Beth, you know, that's not your mom. You're, you know, Beth did anything she could, or Diane did everything she could to get back with you, and your mom loved you more than that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
in what a fantastical thought.
Yeah, it's a neat way to bring back a an interesting character from past episode, the return of Memory Rick. It was a nice callback, and I think it was cool the way that they used Memory Rick in this episode to explore like parts of Beth's upbringing, to add a new wrinkle to things, like the presentation of Jerry at the beginning where he's like, Rick's always been a loving father that was there when we got married and was there when, you know, our kids were born and invented peanut butter and jelly. Like if you rely on your memories as being accurate and somebody can get in there and mix things up, all of a sudden your entire worldview, your entire perspective of things can change. And that's what makes Memory Rick really dangerous. But he's also just kind of this little sentient guy that just wants a good life for himself and wants a wholesome family. But if he can only exist in other people's memories, he ends up kind of screwing things up.
Yeah, and he certainly does. And you know, when we see him again in the first time I watched this, I was like, he's an asshole. Uh, but then when watching the episode multiple times, it's not that he's an asshole. He loves Diane too. That is part of Rick's personality, his memory, that wants to be with Diane, that yearns for her, that misses her, and that's what he wants. I thought about this, about him being in Jerry's head, right? The idea that he's not tainting Rick's, or he's not tainting Jerry's memory of Rick. He still wants Jerry to like Rick, so much so that it's like, yeah, look, Rick was there at the birth and he created peanut butter jelly. Like he's not poisoning Jerry's mind towards Rick. He's actually improving it and like strengthening that relationship.
But it's based on things that didn't really happen.
No, of
And
course.
so it's still like gaslighting, kind of. Like it's still like, no, Rick's always been a good guy, even though clearly he wasn't.
It is, but so just separating the Jerry stuff, to what end is Memory Rick trying to do that stuff in Jerry's mind for? At that point in time, he's not trying to get out. He's not trying to do anything like that. He's just like he's spending time with family, and maybe it's because Jerry is such a family oriented guy that he's like, I want to be a part of the family. I want to keep the family together.
Well, I think Memory Rick is a memory of a, I guess, better Rick, a kinder, more family oriented Rick. And so when he is able to get into Jerry's mind, which apparently happened when they brain swapped or something like that, right? Like this is his existence, because Rick makes it very clear that he's not real. He is like a figment. He's something that exists in the mind. He exists in Jerry's mind, and Jerry's memories are of his family, of Beth, of growing up. And so that is the quote unquote playground that Memory Rick has to exist in, right? And so when Rick pulls him out of Jerry's mind and puts him in a synthetic brain in like
Ant farm.
yeah, like a blank canvas, he doesn't have other organic memories to interact with. He just has empty space, right?
Yeah.
That he can work with, but it's lonely. There's nobody else there with him. And so for him to exist, he has to interact with the other memories that are there. And then the byproduct of that is that Jerry starts to think better things about Rick than are what are actually true. So, yeah.
Yeah, so the selfishness of Memory Rick, it's damaging. It damages Beth, even though it's for him, he's doing it for noble causes. he doesn't realize, or he does realize what the effects might happen, but he really realizes the effects that it might have on Beth when he brings Memory Diane in on board, and Memory Diane infects Hannah Beth.
Yeah, Hannah Beth, which is written in the
Yeah,
captions as well. Yeah, that's a point where I feel like Memory Rick's motivations definitely change from I'm just trying to be a cool guy that's like keeping the family together to he wants to be with Diane. Like when he's hiding out in Beth's mind and he hears that there is a memory version of Diane somewhere that he could potentially get to, he builds this entire plan in Beth's memories to train Beth's past into to getting to a point where she can go and free Diane. And so this version of Rick, this young version of Rick, wants to be with Diane. Like those are the two people that fell in love and kind of created all of what this show is,
yeah.
ultimately for better or worse. So yeah, I maybe not the best intentions, or there's definitely some fallout from what he goes to try to do, but incredible moments in this episode. I gasped,
Yeah.
like, and I was not the only one out watching this live out at the
What,
Adult
what,
Swim
what a what a
Fest.
what a what a cool moment. What a cool moment. In the subreddit for the discussion post, I pinned a comment saying, yeah, like the first, like the most jaw dropping moment in the show that I've experienced. I think it helped that we were there with a crowd of people of
Yeah,
Rick and Morty
yeah,
all watching at the same time. That really helped it. And although there was a quick fix for it, that moment was like, holy shit. I I was not expecting that.
and it's a relatively quick fix in that it's resolved in the same episode and only a few minutes later. But like, there's still a few minutes where you're kind of sitting with the notion that we're back down to one Beth. Like,
Yeah.
like this is the unfortunate and tragic end of the Space Beth arc in the history of the show. Um, which I was genuinely stunned by. I felt like they were doing a lot in the show to kind of make Space Beth a regular part of the family. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, like that episode did a lot to kind of like reinforce who the two Beths are and what the differences between them, but their issues with Rick and healing in that as well. And so yeah, I was shocked. And then when Rick fixes her later, like it does a couple of things. One, kind of adds some relief, like, okay, like she's still around. There's still room for that character to be a part of the show. But also how freaked out Rick is when he
Yeah.
finds her in the sub basement, to me is like, that is not the jaded, unattached Rick of the early seasons. Like, he is freaked out thinking he's losing Beth in that moment until he's able to fix her. And I think that adds to the weight of this episode and the emotional availability of Rick. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was pretty incredible.
Yeah, I agree. It was a fairly quick fix, but what the real takeaway there is how freaked out and be like, oh please let this work, but let it not be too late, right? And then he turns
Yeah,
his hand to the screwdriver and it's a good thing that you have a cyborg neck or whatever.
yeah, robot spine, whatever it was.
Yeah. uh and so I like that. I like that. I liked how I liked leading up to that moment, the when Beth hit Space Beth in the back of the head, uh, because Memory Rick told her like you have to act normal, you can't ever let anybody on to that anything strange until she gets triggered and she hits Space Beth in the back of the head, and you're like, my head's metal, right?
Yeah. Is your skull metal? Yes. Fight scene. Which, like, I have some other favorite moments from this, but I kind of want to close out our discussion with those.
Yep.
So, I think this is an opportunity, because we've already mentioned numerous of these, but kind of roll through some of the favorite bits, because even though there were a lot of like heavy emotions and themes throughout this episode, there was still it's still a funny comedy show. So that they definitely cut in some funny bits as well. Talked about the sex clothes bit at the beginning. Yep. This was a scene from the pre-released opening sequence, but a little interdimensional cable for you with Cake or Fake. This is one of those, game show, cooking show type things like you see on actual Food Network, where people make really convincing cakes and you have to decide if it's a real object or a cake. But in this case, it's a baby. and Mr. Stabby, I think was his name.
Yep.
Who has knives for hands and a nose as well.
Don't worry, I brought my own.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah. Well, you guys missed it. Turns out it was real, and Mr. Stabby's canceled. So, and then all the stuff with Jerry, then just going to misremembering Rick and all that stuff, I thought was pretty excellent.
Yeah, I do like that little scene. Memory Rick is in the memory, but like all the young versions of Rick and Beth. I meant to, and I didn't go back to just screenshotting that, freeze framing it, and then like kind of looking in the background for stuff. I'm not sure if you did.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't get a chance to do that, but that would be good to see if there's any other characters that are kind of lurking in the backgrounds of that as well. Yeah. There's a great fourth wall break in this as Rick's trying to fix Jerry's brain, and him saying that they're that memory Rick must have gotten into Jerry when they mixed up and switched brains last season. So yeah, like he's still doing that meta commentary, which I think is great.
That whole badass scene of like the Get Smart-esque mind fortress, where Rick keeps his one memory of Diane, where she is at a gun range.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to have that sort of peak of like a physical place in Rick's mind where he is keeping this one memory of Diane safe, and then rolling into him removing it and taking that whole thing and letting it go. It's just a good visual. Like, it's a cool. They could have just had him hit a button and his eyes roll back, and then all of a sudden, like, there's a Diane picture on a screen. But the fact that they went into that whole advanced fortress kind of to show the level of depth that Rick has kind of placed this in almost his subconscious, I thought was a really cool touch.
Yeah, there's a if you think about it too hard, it starts to make things confusing. But if he's removed the memory of Diane, but he still knows who Diane is, then like he hasn't gotten rid of the memory of Diane necessarily. So sometimes it gets confusing if you think about it too hard. So let's not.
Yeah, it's best not just not to think about it. It's like when you tell me about somebody I went to high school with, and I'm like, I think I did have a class with them, but I don't remember anything about them. Like, I remember they existed. I just don't remember any of how I felt about them or anything like that. So
I was married to them, and I had a kid with them. But I think it was just, I don't know anything else about them.
Yeah, it's just a name at that point. Yeah. So,
but in that moment, right, that some of that confusion, that's kind of why Earth Beth goes a little bit crazy. early conversation before her and Space Beth get into a fight, there is the little bit about it was strange that you said Dad told me that he'd be paranoid. That's a strange sentence. He's like, oh, it's just something he told me when we were teenagers. Like, I have the same memories as you. He was gone in our teenage years, right? And so Memory Rick is like doing all of this stuff, tainting all of Beth's memories when she did not have a father figure for all of that time.
Yeah.
And so how like schizophrenic does that make somebody to be like, that's not what my reality is. That's not how I grew up, but that's what I remember.
Which I think is why we see by the end of the episode her having a complete mental breakdown and putting a gun to her head and thinking like, I'm just too many voices in my head. Like this is
Yeah.
having that breakdown. So
Yeah.
anyway, transitioning from that to Memory Rick's gear tech.
Yeah, oh, he graduated to steampunk.
That's right. That's right. He
That little
was
guy.
always good with the gears. There's a line where Rick says, "Hop off my sack" or "hop off the sack," and then Summer points it out, like, "Grandpa, when did you start saying hop off the sack?" I found that entertaining. Yeah. Back to Memory Rick, when Beth's memory of Rick leaving happens, and then like Rick falls through the ceiling.
Yeah,
He's like, "I'm back. My hair's different. We're gonna have so much fun together, and then we're gonna save your mom from a secret underground memory prison." and little Beth is like, "Okay," like just like, what's going on here?
I dig I'm assuming I'm assuming that is evil Rick. It like the one that the one that leaves, right?
Sure.
Is that him, or is that a different version of Rick who also uh abandoned his child?
So if everybody got warped back to their original realities,
Okay. So no, this is not.
well, so they all went back to evil Rick Prime's reality. Morty is Rick Prime's grandson,
Mm-hmm.
which would mean Beth is. Well, but Morty is not. I'm done.
Okay. Yeah. Hit us
It's
up.
past my bedtime. It's past
the math.
my bedtime.
Do
Yeah,
the math.
somebody get some red yarn and a cork board. Hit us up in the comments. Yeah.
Bug-Ann, because Rick he wants to move on. He wants to move on. He's hung up
Weird pitch.
on but the pitch is just him going to the thing I invited to him already. I invited him. But Bug-Ann, when he's like, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to say about having sex with you, and she's like, you're a genius and you looked up nothing about my culture.
Yeah. He doesn't really do the research. He's more of a think up things on the fly type of genius. Yeah.
That's right. The Memory Beth training montage with all the different Memory Beths. That's cool. I also liked the gang of Beth memories. I think we talked about it that night, but it's like that Avengers moment where they all like all the different Beths all in one frame, and they all look badass. Like that's really cool.
That's really good. We talked about the Metal Skull line. There's a line in there where Memory Rick is talking to Memory Diane right after Diane has kind of woken up the first Beth memory. And she says it shouldn't be that easy to create sentience. And he's like, yeah, I think every parent has had that same thought at some point. Yeah, it's kind of weird that you can just kind of make a person that has a whole belief system and thoughts and everything.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I like you wrote this down. Great note. The scenes from season 8 as they try to get to Beth's recent memories. I love this because it ties everything from everything we've seen through season 8, all of these little Easter eggs. It ties the episodes together in a way that I'm not sure we've seen throughout the series so far. Like yeah, like there's been little things like, oh, we see Rick dumping trash from their planet, and then a couple episodes later they're parasites. We see things like that. But we haven't seen a through line or connective tissue from the season itself that is so clear cut.
And it's one of those things that's almost like a gift back to the fans, right? Where like maybe you're a casual viewer, you don't watch every episode. You're not gonna catch all of these, but if you're diehard and you've watched every episode this season, then yeah, you recognize the big, death race truck in the front yard, and then Jerry drinking from a giant hamster water bottle that he
Yeah.
rigged up.
I
And
I laughed out loud on the green to that part of the, yeah. Well,
there's clips of Beth's messing with their ages and things like that. So for them to kind of sprinkle all of those back in it was a great way to almost just kind of like put a bow on the season as a whole, and also incorporate all those separate adventures into one episode. So I thought it was really well done.
yeah. Just a couple more things here. The Thelma and Louise's, the one of the recent memories. Were like, if if we're here, that means she already and they're already falling.
Yeah, it was a cool way to kind of twist with, because that the pacing of really the last, like, I don't know, third of this episode is so quick, with them racing to try and find her and things, and then bouncing between reality and what's going on inside Beth's mind. Like, it's a weird thing where you don't really realize, like, oh no, they're not really riding with Beth. This is a memory that Beth is having. So yeah, she's already driven off the cliff, and
Yeah.
so like for them to do that was really interesting. Beth freaking out, saying she remembers hating her dad and then loving her dad, and then Rick stepping in to say, like, that's just called being alive, sweetie. Like, yeah, like life is messy and there's good times and bad times.
Yep.
That entire scene, it falls into more of my best worst parts of the show. So so once that's all done,
Mm-hmm.
Rick
Mm-hmm.
kind of cleans everything up, and and Beth comes back to the dinner / breakfast table, and Jerry's comment is, "You feeling at all radicalized-y?" Thanks, Jerry. Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry. And then finally, Mr. Poopy Butthole at the end of the season, but with a little twist. There's
Yeah.
the plot's thickening a little bit because we see Mrs. Poopy Butthole as they're with other Poopy Butthole characters. I don't know if that's what their race is called, but um, there's an invader trying to replace her husband, and we don't know what's going to go on with this.
He's clearly from another dimension, something about molecules or something.
What would you like us to do? Every time I watch that tag, I look at like the Earth molecule thing, like in the background, like, what is that trying to say? What is that? what are they trying to lead us to with all
Yeah.
that diagramming in the background?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird, but it's always great to see, MPB back with another end of season tag. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Well, Travis, let's get into our best and worst parts. Let me just go and start by saying, I don't think I have any worst parts of this episode.
Yeah, no, these are all just, normally I like to pick one or two. Sometimes they're both best parts, but there's, I think, 5 bullets in this section, because there's so much good stuff. I couldn't just like slam it into favorite bits. Like, there's a lot of huge moments in this episode. The first being the moment when Memory Rick and Memory Diane are reunited. It's physical. There's there's some heavy kissing and but it is a moment where like I don't know if there is ever another opportunity to do something like this. This is providing viewers a reunion moment that may never exist in any other form or fashion, where Rick, some version of Rick, is reunited with Diane. They both know each other. They both remember each other. This isn't some fear hole situation. Like, and their love for each other is apparent, and it is an emotional scene when you think about it in that context, and not just that there's like really graphic making out all of a sudden. Like,
Yeah, but it's not it's not a purely sexual thing either. It's like
yeah.
it's an earnest, like they love each other, they see each other, they found each other again. I do have like just a quick thought, which is this is Rick's memory of Diane, which means that his memory of Diane is lonely, but as soon as she sees him, she'll be happy and want to be with him, and not be mad at him. She'll want to be with him instantly.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that his memory of him earlier is looking for a Diane the entire time, and is going with every cost, is going to pay every cost to find Diane, and then his memory of Diane wants to be with him.
Well, quick point of order. This is Bird Person's memory
Oh,
of Rick.
that's right. Yeah, thanks.
So,
Thanks.
so
But still,
yeah, it's yeah.
I think the point remains. And you know, by the end of it, they have a happy ending, and like in some ways, it is him coming to the he's finding it he's making a happy ending for them, right? But he's also making a happy ending for himself to say, I can I need to move on. Not just saying he wants to move on, not saying like not getting into this kind of like quasi am I going to be in a relationship with Bugan or not? He's making a determination. I'm gonna move forward. I'm
Yeah,
gonna remember,
yeah.
but I'm moving on.
Him giving them that ant farm brain and an empty patch of space, right? Like, that is validation that somewhere in the universe, in a small way, there is a Rick and a Diane that are together forever,
Mhm.
right? It won't exist in future episodes. It won't be something that like Rick continues to kind of like struggle with, because in my opinion, I think this episode is designed to be an inflection point where Rick moves on from Diane. Like I think that's something that opens up a lot of different options from a storytelling perspective, where he can go do other things. He can attempt a relationship with other women or creatures or whatever he discovers in the multiverse. And so, yeah, like I think this is kind of putting an end to the Diane story in a way, and allowing it to exist out away from them with Memory Rick. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I thought it was really well done. It was a cool way to do it, and it was really interesting.
yeah. There's some talk on the subreddit about like somebody had said like I hope this advances the story, opens up the story before they had seen the episode, right?
Yeah.
Like in the post, and I said like I think you'll be happy. I think you'll be happy for it because I think that's what it does, right? I don't think Rick will ever forget Diane, but he is by giving memory Rick and Diane a happy ending. He is he has created this narrative for himself that he can have a happy ending too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and although Bugan saw that he typed "Hey" a couple hours ago, there I go back and watch the episode when Rick portals out of the Coliseum, and Bugan calls after him. Is like Rick, like she is not happy that he is leaving.
Yeah.
She wants him to stay there too. Um, but you know, like she's a little hurt. He's moving on. they're figuring stuff out. You may not end up with their long term, but I think he's getting to the point where, and the story's getting to the point where he can move on, and
Yeah.
this allows that.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about the momentary death of Space Beth, and then her coming back, but such a epic moment in this, and really shocking. Like that was crazy to me. Yeah, but then all of the stages of, and this is getting back to that Avengers moment, like you talked about, where all of the different Beths from child Beth, teenager, like all of them were there to witness Rick kind of being emotionally available to Beth, being a better dad and being there for her, and like the healing that allows it to create across all versions of Beth's memories. Like, I don't know, there was something to me that I didn't catch the first time, but the second time I watched it and them all being there and seeing that, they're like, oh, like he's a good dad. Why couldn't we have this one? Like he's, which isn't, true of Rick from all times, but it is tainted a little bit when he then pulls out like a screwdriver finger
Distracting her.
yeah, but it's still a sweet moment. And I thought it was, and visually, just like the way that they drew those scenes and moved the virtual camera around to kind of pan, and so you could see everybody. Like it just looked awesome. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I kind of felt bad for our Rick at the end at the dinner table, and they're like, "What happened to Memory Rick?" And he's like, "He's gone," and they all just like went on in on him, and like, I wish, I wish I had the nice Rick still or whatever.
I'm just
Like,
sad that a good version of you doesn't exist anymore.
yeah, and it's like, like that's kind of that. It sucks for Rick because we know that he has done a good thing for Memory
Yeah.
Rick and Diane, but he still kind of sucks it up. He like kind of does that martyr thing for him. That's not the Scott martyr thing, where he's like he is a good guy. Our Rick is a good guy. Could be an
Yeah.
asshole. Of course. He can be
Yeah.
a horrendous piece of shit, but he loves his daughter. He loves his family. He loves the memory of his dead wife, and like he forgives himself. He wants himself to have a happy ending. But no, his family doesn't see that at that dinner table at that moment, and that that's kind of like that sucks. That sucks for him.
Yeah. The final thing I want to talk about, and this is a fantastic part of the show, is the music. Shout out to Ryan Elder, who brought back a song from 4 seasons ago. Don't Look Back. This is as it's written on Spotify. This is Don't Look Back, Diane's version, featuring Katomi and Ryan Elder. And this was the same song that played at the end of season 4 when Rick was really kind of being ganged up on and beat up about the fact that like he didn't know which of his 2 clone daughters was the clone and which one was the real one. He had footage that like showed him like mixing them up and like keep your eye on the ball or like all this stuff, like, and then just realizing what a terrible dad he was. Like he felt like a really terrible dad. This is the same scene where we see that he has the pieces of Phoenix Person still in his garage, but it's this song that it plays, it's kind of depressing, and it kind of emphasizes Rick at a really low point, in kind of just like his relationship with the family. And over the course of the last 4 seasons now, from season 5 to end of season 8, there has been a lot of progression, and we talked about it numerous times on the show about the emotional development of these characters, and Rick specifically. So for them to end this episode where he is sending off Diane with Memory Rick, and this is kind of like a high moment for him. Like, it's still sad, it's still letting go of something, but it's a more emotionally mature Rick that is letting this happen. And the mix of the song, like, it's, to me, is more hopeful. It's more, I don't know, like, it's still kind of melancholy, but in a more, I don't know, hopeful way, I guess. So it's a great song. It's performed wonderfully, and now available to stream on Spotify if that's what you're into.
Yeah, Mr. Elder reached out to us at the after the episode and was like, "Hey, can you post a link to the YouTube where we're releasing this song?" So, like, shout out to Ryan Elder for hitting us up and making me pin a comment. He made me. He's like, "Brandon, never talk to you again if you don't pin this comment." Anyways, but yeah, so that's it. That it was such a good finale. It was a good episode. I think we talked about it. Like, it was one of the, we've been talking about Rick being emotionally mature. Like, it was one of the most emotionally mature episodes of the show, in my opinion, because it had comedy, right? And, like, there was comedy stuff, but it was very. It didn't. It was. It was straight. I don't want to say it's straightforward. I don't know. It hit the mark as far as what a maturing show about a a old scientist who fucks around with his grandson and takes him on, like, zany adventures would do. It's an evolution of it, and so I thought it was really good.
Yeah. All right. I think that's probably gonna be it for our thoughts on this episode, but that's definitely not the end of our discussion on season 8 or anything really regarding this episode or anything else. So please let us know. We want to hear your thoughts. Brandon is sending all of the artillery into the camera. But yes, please let us know, what did you like? What did you dislike? Were there things you didn't like about this episode? How did you feel about the tone of the ending? How did you feel about what this potentially means for future seasons? Hit us up on all of the socials. You can leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube. Just like Joe Friga did 8 days ago, getting into some listener suggestions and short outs. Shout out to Joe Friga, who commented on the garbage portal episode.
Yep.
With Morty Daddy. He says, some other Easter eggs I noticed in Trashland were there was either garbage goober or a creature of the same species. Very, very interesting. He'd be in heaven, I would think, in a garbage dimension. There was
garbage. No, because his wife didn't want him to eat garbage anymore.
Trash. I love trash. There was a ghost Rick created to tell Mr. Poopy Butthole to leave the Smith house instead of telling him himself. Okay. I think this is when Poopy Butthole's, like, drunk and, like, crashing on their couch, and I guess Rick created a ghost to tell him Mr. Poopy Butthole to move out, but I guess that's in there as well. That's a catch I wouldn't have gotten for sure. And then there was either Randotron or Heistatron. Not sure which one, but either way, it was awesome.
Heist.
You son of a bitch. I'm in. Which was hilarious that was the episode that was on the first night that we were at Comic-Con as well.
That's right. Yeah. And then, of course, shout out to a new Instagram follower, Sarah Chalk. Thank you for following us, Sarah.
I'm sure you're listening to this, so
yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure of it. And for the rest of you out there, all of our fans, all the fellow fans of Rick and Morty, thank you all for listening. Travis, where can people find us if they want to hear more or chat with us directly?
Yeah, all the social links that we said at the top of the show. Obviously, the comments of this. If you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening, right, and want to be involved in the conversation, head over to YouTube, like, subscribe over there. Comments are a great way to kind of keep that conversation going out in the open. But yeah, emails, anything that you want to do, rate, review this podcast. If you are using your favorite podcast app, leave a review. It actually really does help other people find the show and other people get recommendations for it. So yeah, all those things and more. You could send a carrier pigeon. You could try a skywriter, or just walk up to us on the street. Whatever you want to do, we look forward to hearing from you and your thoughts on these episodes.
Or a ghostwriter, Johnny Blaze,
Whatever works. Whatever works.
whatever works. I do want to say one last thing, Travis. I do have a final thought before we get away from the episode season finale. I am wearing. I know you're sleepy because I made you stay up too late. I am wearing a shirt that I got for Father's Day this year. It says "Cats in the Cradle." There's a cat with with a spoon and a ladle, and at the bottom it says, "When you coming home, Dad?" I think this is a really good shirt to wear for the season finale, because isn't that the shit of it? Isn't that the shit? Cats in the Cradle. When you coming home, Dad? Don't know when. We'll be together then. Beth, we'll have a good time then.
That officially is an end to season 8. When we release another interdimensional RSS, we will be doing a holistic look at all of season 8. Our favorite episodes, the ones that maybe didn't hit as hard, and we'll finally revisit our predictions about the title sequence. So you do not want to miss that whatsoever. Make sure you're subscribed.
I'll remember that.
Make sure you're locked in. And until then, I'm Travis.
And I'll tell you what, I'm Brandon.
Bye. Oh, and Ian and Harry said hi to us at the convention.
They did.
They're cool.
Hi, Ian and Harry. Also, hi, Phil Mark. It was good seeing you, man.
Yeah.